Welcome, everyone. This is the Ends Justify the Memes, the show where the lowest of the low, that is the most wretched of wretched and deplorable to end all deplorables. Two white, heterosexual Christian males from the American South talk about culture, philosophy, history, health, fitness, and what it means to be a man in the 21st century. I'll be your host, Bill, and this is my producer and co host, Hank. So crack open a beer and lend us your ear because the ends always justify the memes. Woo! Woo! All right, guys. Well, we were supposed to have a guest today. We're going to leave the title up. I will deal with that later as far as if he's coming in or not. Literally have messaged. I've not heard anything. It's hard to say what happens. Sometimes wires get crossed. I do have his phone number and message him there, and we will see. But things go sour. They go south sometimes. I mean, this has not been the only time. We've had a couple guests where we've had some mix-ups with. So hopefully next week will be better, or hopefully our guest Kit Cope will show up later in the stream, or we will have him on at another time. With that, Tank, how's your day?
Oh, it's pretty good. I got home, ate some pinto beans, started drinking. So I can't complain too much.
Beer and pinto beans. It's all grown.
Yeah. Me and my wife, we try to get back on keto. So the hardest thing about keto is you gotta stay on top of it. You gotta stay prepared, or shit'll go south really quick. And it was my day to cook yesterday, and I come home and we didn't have anything thawed for the to cook. So I was like, shit, I gotta pull something out of my ass. So I ended up cooking just like pinto beans, which I love, but it's not keto, so you have to deal with that.
Right. Yeah. I've been very bad about that myself lately. My wife's been doing a lot of cooking. I've always been the one to do the cooking, but not so much recently because I've been trying to do this stuff, and I've also been kind of really restrictive with my diet generally. I did eat some tuna, sardine, and cod liver salad today that I made.
Cod liver, huh?
Yeah, buddy. It's good for you. Lots of vitamin A and D.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where do you find cod liver?
You can get it online.
Okay.
It's pretty much a whole can, which I can't recall what it costs, but $2-3, whatever it is. It's pretty much your whole RDA for the week for those things if you need it. It's pretty good, pretty nutritious. So they taste fine on their own. They don't have a lot of flavor, but you just throw it in there with tuna, throw the salmon in for a little extra fat.
Right.
Or sorry, not salmon, sardines, a little extra fat. And sometimes I'll mix various canned fishes that way, which most people would be smart to do because there's a lot more nutrition than tuna. Tuna's basically just protein.
Yeah.
Anyways, man, let's do some memes. Let's play that memecast soon. News sounder. Wow, look at that. Look at that. It's the first week since we've been back that you got that right.
Hey, I got it, bro.
I'm proud of you. All right. Let's see here. Checking a couple things, guys. Because like I said, we were supposed to have a guest, and that stuff happens. It's what you do when you do stuff in real life. Things happen, right? So just a reminder from January 14th, 2020, preliminary investigation conducted by the Chinese authorities have found no clear evidence of human-to-human transmission of the novel COOF. That is the World Health Organization.
Are you saying they got that wrong? Because they don't get things wrong.
No, they are perfectly correct all the time, Susan. Perfectly correct. That's why they said here, on January 30th, 2020, we would have seen many more cases outside of China by now, and probably deaths if it were not for the government's efforts and the progress they have made to protect their people and the people of the world. So, from February 22nd, 2020, in 2% of reported cases, the COOF is fatal, and the risk of death increases the older a patient is and underlying health conditions. We see relatively few cases among children. More research is needed to understand why. As I often say, we knew everything we needed to know about this all those years ago, all those many moons ago.
All those last year ago.
No, dude, it's been like 3 decades. What are you talking about?
Okay, so I don't know how much attention people were paying to what was going on at the time, but if you remember back in like December or December 2019, January 2020, I saw a lot of like anonymous right-wing Twitter guys with all these hazmat suits and their avies, and they were the first ones to be like, "Oh, this is some real shit." And I kind of feel like the tables have turned a lot. Like the people that were, worried about the virus from the get-go, as it progressed on, got less worried about it. And then the people that were like, "Oh, it's just a flu, no biggie," or the guys that are like, "Oh yeah, I need to wear 3 masks and a spit shield inside my car by myself."
Well, that seems to be the consensus take, is that originally the right wing was panicking and then the
Yeah.
left wasn't, and everything reversed. What happened was the authorities weren't giving much information. People were saying, looks bad, we don't know anything about it. Folks on the right naturally being suspicious of government and being more likely to be preppers, right, to prepare for,
Mm-hmm.
you know, essentially people on the right understand that, hey, the government's not going to come and save me, so I better be prepared to take care of myself.
Right.
And we found out pretty quickly, since, last March, April, May, for sure, exactly what this was about. And for me, I was like, oh, we don't really know, but I don't think it's probably that big of a deal. But I was always worried about how people would act.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think that the government would go as far as it did. I didn't see that coming, but I probably should have. In any case, it says, we have also held 2 calls with the UN resident coordinators all over the world to brief them on the actions they can take to prepare their countries and ensure the UN system is working as one. The increasing signs of transmission outside of China show that the window of opportunity we have for containing the COOF is narrow. We're calling all countries to invest urgently in preparedness.
Huh.
But that was February 22nd, and this was also the 22nd, and then this was just not even a month before that. So let's keep going.
Coronavirus through time.
That's right. On the 24th, for the moment, we are not witnessing an uncontrolled global spread of the COOF. We are not witnessing large-scale severe disease or death. Does this virus have pandemic potential? Absolutely. Are we there yet? From our assessment, not yet. What we see in epidemics in different parts of the world affecting countries in different ways and requiring a tailored response, the sudden increase of new cases, is certainly very concerning. I have spoken consistently about the need for facts, not fear.
Okay, sure.
Mm-hmm.
So this is my favorite one.
I knew you would like this. This is from February 29th. From the U.S. Surgeon General. Seriously, stop buying masks. They're not effective in preventing preventing the general public from catching the COOF. But if healthcare providers can't get them to care for sick patients, it puts them and our communities at risk, which makes no sense. But also, hey, Susan, and I know we're on D Live too. Who knows where D Live's at right now, because they just tucked their tail and cowered to the mob. But Susan, this is the Surgeon General I'm quoting. This is a specialist, right, in the field, a healthcare authority, supposedly.
Did he ever delete this tweet?
I don't know if he did. from our brave and fearless president. Stop the xenophobic fear mongering. Be honest. Take responsibility. Do your job. In response to Donald John Trump, I always treated the Chinese virus very seriously and have done a very good job from the beginning, including my very early decision to close the border from China against the wishes of almost all. Many lives were saved. The fake news narrative is disgraceful and false. Yeah.
It's woo.
Speaking of Biden, China apologizes for forcing Biden's staff to submit to anal COVID exams. Around 50 members of Biden's team were subjected to anal penetration on one or more occasions from the Chinese Communist Party doctors. China promises to stop.
Is this serious?
Yeah, that happened. That's a legit. That did happen. I know this is the real fake news, but it happened, brother.
Oh my God.
Sir, could I trouble you for a glass of warm milk? You could trouble me for a glass of shut the hell up. You're my world now, Grandma. Governor Cuomo. A virus that kills old people. Old people. And then here we have the COVID family.
Oh my God. What's
Yeah.
Greta Thunberg there?
Look at Fauci. Look at that scowl on his face. And of course, old Billy Boy over there looks like I did nothing wrong.
Wow.
Tells a different story every time someone puts money in it.
Well, yeah. Now, the dude is known to change his tune.
Yeah. The dude is known to be a puppet. I think that would be the precise terminology there. It's 3 masks to save grandma, an anal swab to test for a respiratory virus, and over 100 gender options. Hail science.
Hey, bro. You got to have 3 masks now.
All I have to say is Farnsworth is a stunning resemblance to Fauci.
Yeah. Or Charles Schwab.
Well, yeah, I didn't even think about that. By Dr. Seuss, who's now canceled. 1 mask, 2 mask, red mask, blue mask.
Faucism.
Yep. Or Faucism. There's all your masks. Ugh.
Oh my God.
Hey man, that's the world we live in today.
The spit shield kills me. I see these dudes walking around with this thing on. And I'm like, and they're wearing a mask too. I'm like, dude, bro, if you're spitting, like the mask's gonna catch it. You don't need an extra shield.
Yeah, man, it's crazy, but you got your sheep on the background, and you got your sports, and you got your lab grown whatever bar that is, my little I voted sticker. That's where we're going, man. This is great. Someone just airdropped this to my phone at a red light. Dude that wears face mask when they're driving.
Oh my God.
If you're having a bad day, remember, these are the people calling you a conspiracy theorist. I get a new one of these every week. I don't know why.
I can't believe there's so many of this version, that they're finding people that are, wearing this sort of.
These people are literally in the middle of the woods.
Yeah, but there's 2 of them, so they have to wear.
They're wearing masks and whatever that thing is. My pronouns are you're and retarded. Yeah, this was a good one. This green guy down here.
Oh my God.
There were a bunch of those. I think I cut that, but I had one of the, they're putting these kids in these bands, and instead of cutting out the face part of it, the lip part, they're just putting them in these giant insulated things, and yeah, No, I'm not into your call.
Ooh,
It's the way I feel
ooh.
about it. Yeah. Read the box, Karen. It's true.
Yeah, I was in the liquor store when the guy pointed this out to me.
Yeah. I actually have one right here. I've had since I went to DC, or not DC, Washington State back in the summertime. Says the same thing. Says this product is not a respirator, will not provide any protection against the coof or other viruses or contaminants. Hmm.
Hmm.
Hmm. Then, of course, you have the Danish study, which suggested that out of the 3,500 some odd people that wore masks versus the 3,500 who didn't, the difference between the rate that they called it was 1.8% of the 3,500 people who wore masks and 2.1% of, 2.1% of those who didn't. So a difference of 0.3% between the two groups. And let's not forget that the infection rate was less than 3% overall anyways. Tried to figure out how 15 days to flatten the curve led to a battle against climate change and sticking a Q-tip up my rear. Maintaining social distancing. Calm down, Pythagoras. Calm down.
What the fuck?
I don't know if I've shown this on the show before, but I've certainly seen it before. I've had it. Got scrapped. So many have to get scrapped. You guys, you have no idea the memes that I mine. What I have to go through, the labor. It's intensive. Sometimes you look at people and wonder, how do they fit all that stupid into one head? It heals cancer too. Amid COVID-19 pandemic, flu has disappeared in the U.S.
We beat it, guys.
Science.
What a great day for humanity.
Yep, it heals everything. The jab, most tantalizing side effects. It may help fight cancer, chronic pain, and even Alzheimer's. Anything they can tell you to take that.
Well, I got the jab and I got sick, so I'll tell you that.
Did you get sick?
Just a little bit. I mean, it wasn't like it was basically the same when I get a flu shot. Every time I get a flu shot, which has only been like 3 or 4 times in my life, I kind of feel shitty the next day, and that's basically what I felt like.
Oh, well, I mean, it did just mutate your RNA, so. VIP sheep reserved for vaccinated people only.
I can sit there. I got a vaccine.
Well, you'd have to go to Israel first.
Well, let's not be crazy.
Okay. So this is just how sheeplish people are.
What is?
That's a dude standing outside of a building, taking a lint roller to folks, and they're doing it because they assume that he's an authority. We don't have people thinking anymore. They've lost that capacity. I'm pretty certain. Me vaccinated, not me, but I identify as a vaccinated person, so checkmate. British mutation, South African variant, coronavirus, Chinese virus. Yeah. Oh, I screwed that one up. But hey, I still got this one.
It's okay.
UN starts talking about financial accountability for the coof. I can't make that bigly. So that's the best it's going to be. MSNBC, CNN, New York nursing homes. The coof. Speaking of which, Cuomo rejects aid, but the other aids, he does not.
Hey.
And I don't know if Cuomo's getting canceled or not, but there's a lot of talk right now, considering he was supposedly a hero after, allowing all those old people to die. But the bigger issue is he sexually harassed somebody.
Yeah, that's the issue. Not that he killed a bunch of people.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to get completely conspiratorial about this, I almost feel like the sexual harassment shit has been manufactured to take heat off of the fact that he, killed a bunch of grandmas.
I think that's about 1,000,000,000%, of course.
Oh, so I'm not that crazy. Okay, good.
No. I almost bought a Coke today. Then I remembered I was white.
You're white?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But not for long, because tomorrow you need to be less white. You hear me, Peterson, next day. Little Pete P. Headed to the unemployment office because he lost his job at Coca-Cola.
Oh man, poor bear.
Too white, man. Gotta start getting them black bears in. It says, remember, Coca-Cola, there are two types of civilization. Speaking of cancel culture, it's going to Wiki. As of 2020, fewer than 1% of Wikipedia's editors based in the U.S. identify as Black or African American. We need everything, or sorry, we need everyone's help to change that. So you're telling me that the 13% of the population doesn't want to be involved with Wikipedia, and we have to force that upon them?
This sounds like it sounds like a pretty easy fix. If 1% of your editor base identifies Black, then just have more people identify as Black. Just be like, just when they fill out their form, tell them to fill in a different bubble.
Well, Tank, that would make too much sense, and that would be dishonest. We should just fire enough white people until that 1% becomes 13. Moving on. You may have heard Mr. Potato Head join the ranks.
I have. Okay, so I remember Uncle Ben. Who's the chick on the right? What happened with her?
Toronto.
That's the one from. What's she from?
Well, she's from the Mandalorian, but she was a fighter. She was a UFC fighter. Supposedly, according to Wiki, Kit, who is supposed to be here tonight, used to date her. In any case, that's according to Wiki. I don't know that from his mouth, so who knows? So we got Uncle Ben, Aunt Jemima. We got the Land O'Lakes,
Elizabeth Warren.
Elizabeth Warren, that's right. I don't even know what the Paw Patrol thing's about.
Oh, they called him fascist. They said Paw Patrol was fascist.
Oh, that's right. Okay. It's all making sense now. And then, of course, the Chiefs or the Indians. Sorry, right. And then the Redskins. Mr. Potato Head, rest in peace, buddy.
What happened? What happened with Potato Head?
They're just removing Mr. They don't want to be gender exclusive.
Yeah, we got to be really fickle about the gender of potatoes.
Look, they made a Mrs. Potato Head in the 90s, or sorry, the 80s, and I think that was good enough, right? Breaking. Lucky Charms has announced they will be keeping their leprechaun because Irish people aren't such oversensitive little biatches.
Ooh.
I don't know. I'd like to ask Dave Cullen about this. I would. It's funny, they canceled his channel on YouTube and apparently was back up like a week later or something. I don't think he uploads to it anymore. And
yeah, he's like a BitChute only now, right?
I'm pretty sure, and I've been re-uploading to BitChute for all -1 stuff, but then I have to go back and re-upload what I uploaded because it didn't upload. And that's why I'm not a fan of BitChute.
Well, if Don is correct, Entropy should be the place to jump to pretty soon.
Well, apparently Don's talking to people. He knows things.
Yeah.
What in the world is this? Okay. Sorry. Checking notifications on the phone.
Lucky Charms.
Well, this is if Klaus Schwab has his way.
Oh my God.
So, breaking. Just in, Boston public schools have suspended advanced classes for grades 4 through 6, citing racial inequalities. More than 70% of the students enrolled in advanced classes were white and Asian. 80% of the students at Boston public schools are Black and Hispanic. This is just not acceptable, school committee member Uh, Lauren Rivera said, I've never heard of these statistics before, and I'm very disturbed by them. So guess what happened?
What?
Well, the special classes for the advanced kids were all canceled. Can't have anyone be better than anyone
You
else.
can't be
And
smart, bro. Can't be
yeah,
smart
my
in that
lord,
school.
if the black kids they aren't part of that, percentage, then I guess we just can't have it. Even though 30% of the black kids, or sorry, 30% of the kids in the advanced classes had to be black, of course, or Hispanic. And we're all gonna blow up the system with the system. Yeah, because that's where you're getting all this from, guys. You're getting it from the system. So this was interesting. Actually, this must have got rearranged, but that's no worries. I forgot I had this in here. You think our politicians are bad? Argentina MP resigns after sucking a woman's breast during online congressional session.
Well, to be honest, that's better than what Cuomo did. So,
Yeah.
which would you rather have? A guy who likes to suck on some nips, or a guy who kills grandma?
All I know is that guy is definitely old, and that girl's very, very young. It says, has anyone noticed that there has not been no, I don't know why they did a double negative, so that's dumb. There has not been a State of the Union address yet. It was supposed to be on 2/20/21. Just asking for a friend. Yeah, and I brought this up several times on my lonesome channel. I think that Joe Biden's in bed by the time the State of the Union would actually happen, and therefore he can't do it.
He can't be off his ventilator that long.
As president, I will use military power responsibly, and as a last resort, I will not go back to forever wars in the Middle East. That was back in August. Imagine being dumb enough to believe that Joe Biden is literally going to bomb the Middle East. You all Trumpers are lunatics. First and foremost, I'll have you know, the pilot was a woman of color. Yeah. See, here's the problem with every leftist. You're not informed. You think you are, but you're not. And you're listening to propaganda state media 90% of the time. And I know, you might listen to really radical stuff. Trust me, they get their news from propaganda state media. And you guys are too stupid to realize that you're stupid. It's called the Dunning-Kruger effect. Anyways, time to move on. On the 36th day of his presidency, Joe Biden bombed Syria, gave up on a $15 minimum wage, and didn't send out survival checks to the millions of people going hungry. Imagine that. Missed a spot. I'll have to circle back. Have to circle back to that. Circle back.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And guys, just be aware. It's all good because these are intersectional bombs of peace. See, he, him. Hashtag BLM, Build Back Better. This bomb does not only have its pronouns, it has BLM on there and the Great Reset. So we're all good.
Oh my God, it's serious.
No, actually, it's a Photoshop.
So okay, that looks good. That would.
It does, right? It does.
Yeah. Oh my God!
Fact check it though, and they're like, "Oh, I can't believe blah, blah." It's like, dude, it's a meme. It's a meme. Like, I'll fact check a meme if it's just retarded. Like Tariq Nasheed's meme the other week or post. A black man wrote the modern Russian language. You mean his great grandfather was a black man? That does not a black man one make. In any case, let us continue. The BGM 2021 Tomahawk SJW variant, Trumpist seeker, Mark V intersectional hierarchy logic unit, MSM coordinated transponder, racism high explosive accusation warhead, true non shout pressure vessel, fuel reservoir, hypocrisy inlet turbo neocon propulsion unit, Dominion democracy emulator.
Ooh.
Now we know. And according to G.I. Joe, that is half of the battle.
That is half of the battle.
G.I. Joe was my jam back in the day.
Oh, shit. Biden wouldn't do that. He loves brown people.
Yeah, what they got to realize is, man, too bad I didn't have the volume thing figured out on this, because that was a good one. You remember that when they were in the meeting? He's like, what you people got to realize is that white people are going to be a minority, and that's going to be a problem for you. Someone has to work in this country. That's basically what he said.
Oh, my God.
I'm not joking. You guys can go look it up. Anyways, most diverse cabinet to bomb Middle East yet. Your $2,000 stimulus check to went to Raytheon.
Yeah, when do I get my money?
Never. This aged really well from April 2017. Also, what is the legal authority for strikes? Assad is a brutal dictator, but Syria is a sovereign country.
Ooh.
We'll have to circle back to that. First of all, Biden appointed a woman to command the airstrikes in Syria.
Feminism.
Finally, return to normalcy.
What the Woo!
Thinking no one should ever be bombed is inherently pro-fascist position.
You know, fascists historically are known for not bombing people. So
I'm
going to have to side with her on this one.
Yeah. I heard they just want to be left alone, you know?
Yeah.
They want to nationalize, except for that one guy with the little mustache.
If someone tells you they're more likely to hand out hugs than hand out bombs, they're probably a fascist. You might want to watch yourself.
Yeah. And guys, just remember, it doesn't matter who you murder or how you murder them. It only matters if you're not a fascist in doing so. Bomb in Syria. Yeah. Gotta get up that nerve. Found your stimulus checks. U.S. carries out airstrike against Iranian-backed militia target in Syria. Except for that was on Fox News. That was reported originally, I think, by the New York Times that they were Iranian-backed, and there's no evidence of that whatsoever. So yeah, it was in the headline, and then they're like, but we can't confirm that. There's no evidence. The Virgin $200 check for struggling Americans. Politicians might never agree to it. Delivered electronically or by boring mail truck. Might give you a painful paper cut. Increase carbon footprint by saving lives of the poor. Might trick you into thinking the U.S. government cares about your well-being. The Chad $2 million bomb dropped on Syria. Continues proud bipartisan tradition of going back decades. Delivered by cool military aircraft. Victims probably die quickly and painlessly. May decrease carbon footprint by killing 17 people who were in Syria to fight ISIS. Serves as a useful reminder that the U.S. government will spare no effort or expense to secure the well-being of Raytheon, the Saudi royal family, Boeing, and the Israeli right. Don't cancel it, Susan. That last part was spicy.
Oh, it's coming. We're getting canceled. That's a good one.
This was going around like everywhere. Yeah, it's coming. We'll figure it out.
Maybe I should get back on the internet because I'm missing out on all this cool stuff.
Right. I'm like your only link to the internet anymore.
Yeah. Like I don't even pay attention to this shit. Like I require this show to keep me informed.
says, wow, the Biden Bucks bill pays federal employees up to 15 weeks of paid leave at $1,400 per week if they have to stay at home to virtual school kids. You get 1,400 once. They get it every week for 15 weeks. Swamp takes care of swamp.
Imagine that.
Americans, can I get my $200 check now? Government. Best I can do is a Syrian airstrike.
Like, this is the thing about all the people that were really against Trump and, like, you know, whatever, he's a fascist or whatever. He gave you cash. Biden hasn't, you know, so
He didn't just give you cash. He actually raised your standard of living.
yeah, but like, even if you're like a very, you know, base instinct driven person, everyone woke up one day with $1,200 in their bank account. You know, it was a net positive versus what. It's a net positive versus what you're getting now. So, like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just crazy. I'm a fascist who doesn't like bombing people.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's true. Well, this happened too. You know, proud Obama awards his Nobel Peace Prize to Biden for bombing Syria.
Hell yeah. Good job.
And more Biden news, Alzheimer's today. And we have this article. Make sure I'll make it bigly for you.
Bigly.
No president has entered the White House with a clear and with as clear a focus on Alzheimer's disease as Joe Biden. The commitment and attention on Alzheimer's at its highest level of our elected leadership is long overdue. It's from the Times.
That's a pretty bad photo op there for that.
Yeah. Get in, loser. We're using $1 trillion war machine against third world peasants to funnel money to the military-industrial complex.
Hell yeah. Build back better.
That's right. And Syria had some things to say. Syria will provide military support to moderate rebels in USA.
Wouldn't that be some shit? Like when the United States eventually collapses, you know, in the next 20 minutes or whatever, whenever it comes.
10 years. Well, about 10, but by the end of the decade, we're going to be in a really bad spot in about 3 years with our economy and hyperinflation. So,
and you end up with a bunch of like drunk ass hillbilly rednecks out in the woods, and they're getting a bunch of money and guns from like Saudi Arabia or some shit.
I'm going to buy Toyota.
Yeah, wouldn't that be tough? I mean, think like some ISIS guys show up at your door and like, hey, we're going to give you some Stinger missiles, some AKs, and a bunch of Toyota trucks. Who's going to turn that down? I guess I'm Fed posted now, but who's going to turn that down?
I want a Toyota, and I want a 60 cal, which isn't a thing, but whatever, we're going to make it a thing. I want a 50 cal on the back of it or something. I want something cool. You know? Give me a Mark 19. I'll take a Mark 19.
Honestly, this is what I'm most excited for like the coming collapse, is that we're going to be on the receiving end of a bunch of weapons eventually. And that's going to be like imagine you get all your boys together, you got, belt fed rifles, and you're just like straight going mayhem. Like that's going to be like chef's kiss status.
Yeah. Except for you got to have the training, the team mentality, getting how to shoot right.
No, we're not going to. We're going to do like fucking like those guys and like the ISIS dudes where they don't train them; they just give them syringes full of adrenaline and say, "Have fun."
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting decade. That's all I know. Hope everyone's ready. Excuse me. Remember what you're fighting for. Not really, but sort of.
Yeah.
It's more like we're fighting over who has control of it, not necessarily for it. And it's a matter of who's a willing puppet of the world players and who's not. So we can't let the non puppetous people be in there. Oh, look, you're typing. We must have viewers.
We
That's
got a
all.
few.
Well, hey guys, sorry I'm not following the chat till we're done the memecast news. Why is Biden caging immigrant kids? Where's my stimulus check? Why are we at war in the Middle East? Why are you expecting anything to change? And that's where I stand. Trump immigration policy, Biden immigration policy.
Woo!
It's true.
Well, look, no one cared when Obama did it, and no one's going to care now that Biden's doing it.
Right.
All this, I mean, I know we're beating a dead horse here, but like, this was never about kids in cages. Like the 4 people that actually give a shit about kids in cages were duped into giving a shit.
Like I said, why wouldn't we just let the kids be wild? Let them run free in the wilderness. When a guy tells me he owns a gun, I'm like, oh, what's wrong with your D? He says, last time I tried to use my D on a home intruder, I got in way more trouble. The cops were pretty upset. The intruder needed counseling, and I'm on a list. Just use a gun. That girl looks like she's attractive and completely useless.
Well, she is a woman.
I mean, I'm just saying based on her statement. In any case, on this day, February 28th, the Redcoats began a siege on a church believed to be stockpiling weapons. In the end, they burnt the church down, killing 70 men, women, and children. Wait, that was the U.S. government in 1993.
Hey-ho!
Ooh, hey. I do want to live in a breakaway society, but I certainly don't want to get Waco'd.
So if our guest doesn't show up, we probably should just have a whole talk about Waco and Ruby Ridge. I'm totally down for that.
Yeah, sure, that'll work. And I will definitely get a hold of Kit, and I will assume that he is a good, honorable man, because I believe that this is just some sort of mistake of communication or something like that, and he will get back to me, and we will have him on another time if that's the case. So I know I hype this stuff up, guys, but can't do anything on my end if the other person doesn't show. Next week we should have Adam Kolkesh. Now, fortunately, when I was in Florida driving back, Adam had mistaken the date himself and had texted me about coming on, and I was like, no, dude. I was like, March 10th, not February 10th. And he's like, oh, okay, man. I was like, so it happens, guys. We get busy. I think men in general, especially, are not good with scheduling, which is why I gave Rebecca a very hard time about it. So I don't know. What are you good with scheduling, Tank? Because I feel like you're not.
Fuck no. Hell no. I'm probably the world's worst at anything scheduling wise, because most of the shit that gets so yeah, I know I do like a podcast. I'm supposed to care about this sort of thing, but most of the shit that gets scheduled in my life doesn't matter. Like, we need to write on your calendar that some people are coming in out of town. Like, we had some guests last weekend come stay at my house. Like, we need to put. I'm like, just tell me the day before that people are coming, and I'll know to put on pants. Like, I don't need this to be a scheduled thing. And I still didn't.
The way I feel like, give me a month warning. Like, if I have a doctor's appointment, and then tell me the day before, because otherwise I could care less and don't remember. My wife complains about it, but I'm like, do I have a vagina? Like, can you, like, I'm just not good with schedules. I'm sorry.
Kizza says he's good with scheduling, but and in his defense, he has always showed up to when we had him on as a guest. So,
Kiz, you're in the chat. I hope you were feeling better, buddy. Kiz had the coof apparently. So,
oh no,
he's one of the He's one of the few lucky 99.9% of the survivors of it, as far as I know. So, congratulations for beating such terrible odds, man. Anyways, when the federal government talks about protecting children from the crazy people with guns, remember they think surrounding the children and setting them on fire is an acceptable option.
Woo!
I'm all
Yeah,
about talking
we're gonna
about
talk
this,
about
man.
Waco.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
let's get
Fed
to it.
post. I'm gonna Fed post.
Yeah. Wait, we're the baddies? Always were.
Fucking ATF. Holy shit.
Who knows why we were taught to fear the witches and not those who burned them alive? Wednesday's always had a good point, even though Christina Ricci is obviously a crazy person.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's go through some of this. Let me make it bigly. Let's see. Facts, not opinions, not bias, just facts for the extreme slow learners. Turkey disarmed its citizens. Shortly after, 1.5 million Armenians were murdered. Russia, 24 years, 20 million Russians murdered. China disarmed its citizens. 20 million Chinese were murdered. Way more than that. In both cases, by the way, folks. These are the very low end numbers. There was at least probably 50,000 in Russia and probably 100 million in China. We keep finding records that they buried. It was a lot. 6 million Jews in Germany, Cambodia, 1 million, Guatemala, 100,000. 300,000 in Uganda, Venezuela, and so forth. And the ATF is unconstitutional, so get the hell out. All right, we still up? We still live? We still running?
Yeah, we're good.
All right,
we're
just
good.
make sure my Fed didn't take us down. QAnon believers, when the big date comes and goes, and literally nothing happens. Oh yeah, it's all coming together.
Oh my god!
Trust the plan, baby. Trust that plan.
Yeah, I had someone at work the other day be like, I think Trump's coming back. I mean, maybe, I don't know, but the dude's so old. Like, that's not, even if he was to come back, that's probably not who you want to throw your hat in with at this point.
I think DeSantis should be the guy right now, honestly. That's the way I'm looking at it. He might not be the best candidate per se, but I don't really care about the federal government that much anymore because it's just kind of like rigged. But I did hear some guys when I was in Florida. My wife and I stopped. I think it was the day we were going to get her grandfather unsuccessfully, unfortunately. But again, things happen. So we stopped to get lunch, and some dudes sitting not too far in the diner we were in. We're talking about stuff, and I'm pretty sure they're talking about QAnon stuff, and I'm just like, you got to be kidding me, man. You got to be kidding me. I don't know. I know if I still worked at the jail, I would probably be hearing it there too from certain people. But then I would be saying the reasonable stuff that I say, that I believe I say that is reasonable, and folks would be like, "Oh, Bill, I'm not buying what you're selling, man. That's crazy talk." It's like, so okay, well, we'll take my my track record, my predictions versus yours is what I always will say. I drank water made from human feces. Here's an update on the machine that produced the water. This, of course, was something I highlighted last week. But then we have this Ellen DeGeneres salami. One company quests to make meat from celebrity tissue samples. Scientists think cockroach milk could be the next superfood. And we wish we were kidding. You'll own nothing and you'll be happy. Hey guys, trust the plan. Trust the plan, right? QAnon folks, trust that freaking plan. Oh.
I didn't know cockroaches could be milked.
Dude.
What the fuck, bro?
Dude, what about making meat from celebrity tissue sample? What the hell is wrong with you,
bro?
folks?
The shit like this makes me just wish for the day that the ISIS shows up their Toyotas.
That they got from our government? Yeah. I got into an argument with my boyfriend because I reject evolution because it's heteronormative. Are scientists going to make evolution more inclusive, or will they replace it with something else?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I love this shit. You know, I just thought about something. We pay our money to the government, who gives our money to ISIS to buy Toyotas. So if ISIS gives us Toyotas, aren't we kind of getting our money back?
Well, here's the thing. No, and they have to travel an ocean. They can't do that with their Toyotas, brother. I mean, you can, but it's a lot of money and they don't have it. They live out in the desert and they set up camps in like Texas or wherever it was, Arizona, and train little kids and do crazy stuff. They don't plan that well ahead unless they have CIA help, and that's a whole nother issue.
Are you telling me that I'm misguided by putting my faith into ISIS?
Yes.
Okay. That's fine.
How can you talk if you don't have a great brain? Some people without brains do an awful lot of talking.
I only recognize like 2 of those people.
Dorothy and the Scarecrow?
No, I'm well, yeah, but on The View, like I guess I've just never seen it. I know it's Whoopi, and the red-haired chick is what's her name?
I don't know. I do know her name, but I can't think of it.
Yeah, and then I have no idea who the other 3 are.
Well, the blonde is what's his name's Arizona senator, dead now.
McCain.
McCain, thank you. That's Megan
Oh
McCain.
yeah,
John
that's
McCain's
right.
daughter.
I forgot she was on
Yeah.
there. Okay, I don't listen to women talk.
That's often advisable. Biden's pick for Assistant Secretary of Health vows to make hostile misgendering a mental illness under administration's new health guidelines.
Oh shit! Reverse card.
That's right. All I gotta say is these folks don't want to play this game with me because I crush at Uno. Just saying.
I'm more of a Jenga guy.
Anybody can play Jenga. Come on. Hasbro released new gender confused potato head.
You can just buy a Mrs. Potato Head and put it on the Mr. Potato Head, and then you have a transgender potato head.
Well, I think you're neglecting the excellent Photoshop, but
oh yeah,
we'll keep
sure,
moving.
yeah.
It's Yam, Macho Yam, Randy Savage.
That's a
ladies
good
and
one.
gentlemen. It's Yam.
Clever.
It's Yam.
This is a clever meme. This is the best meme of the night so far.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was hard to decipher what was good and what was not. Had to cover some news though, man. Had to cover some news. I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, but the fact that I've been invited to I've never been invited to a gender reveal party means I've cut the right people out.
Yes,
I
that
would
does
agree.
mean that.
I was at a gender reveal party a few weeks back, but it, was my soon-to-be daughter's, and my wife wasn't going to let me not be there. So, the only man there, by the way.
Good times.
Yes. And speaking of pronouns, yes, his, her, they, them, or she, her, they, them, and he.
Hell yeah.
Wait, this is the wrong meme. Where are we? I have no idea. We are real. Yes. Not gonna lie, the brunette's really cute. Other than that stupid pig ring she's got in her nose.
Hey. Yeah. I mean, I ain't picky.
Yeah, we know. 7 things every kid needs to hear. I love you. I'm proud of you. I'm sorry. I forgive you. I'm listening. Communism has failed every time it was tried. You've got what it takes. Remember this, folks. Be a good parent. So, Bill's PSA for the day. And I think this is last but not least, Epstein Island Loyalty Rewards Program.
Jeez.
And that's all I got, bro.
Hell yeah. All right, I'll play the sounder.
All right, you play it, buddy. Play it.
All right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. Sorry that Kit did not show up. I do not know what's going on. I am not going to call him and hound him because I'm just not that type, but I will try to get in contact with him, figure it out, and we will reschedule as the deal goes. So hopefully this will not be an issue next week or the coming weeks as we have guests scheduled all month. But I will take the time to remind you, please like, share, subscribe. If you are not subscribe, do that. Hit the like button if you enjoy us. Definitely share us out, help us grow. I'm seeing our watch counts going up, but YouTube lies about that all the time, so whatever. Go over to Entropy and donate if you want to throw some money, because we are not monetized on YouTube. I've talked about it with Tank before. I don't think we ever will be, even if we reach that threshold to be able to be. In any case, if you guys want to do that, there is an Entropy. You can throw us a buck or two, or you can go over to a Subscribe Star. The Tank, you're the one who runs that. So what do you got going on over there? You have tiers or anything, or it's just basic, like, you can help us out kind of thing?
So with Subscribe Star, basically it exists and that's it. There's not really any more like options beyond that. It's a binary existence. No, most of our stuff's been coming through DLive for what we've actually, like, what little bit people's been donating. It is what it is.
Until now, we're demonetized on DLive, right?
I don't think we are.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought they put us in the X Factor nonsense thing.
I don't think that Wait, well, never mind. We have lemons.
I'm pretty sure we're demonetized, buddy.
Well, we had lemons at one point, now we don't. So I guess that's true. Whatever. Wow, I didn't like.
Yeah, they demonetized pretty much all political, conservative type
content. With the money that we had, though. Ah, fuck them. Whatever.
Well, hard-learned lessons. We should have learned how to cash that out earlier, right?
Yeah, we had like $100 in there, but whatever, it's fine. Yeah, we have Subscribe Star. It's in the DLive link. Or I guess it's in YouTube links as well. Don't call me basic, bro. What the fuck?
Joshua. Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah.
We grew on DLive much more than we did on YouTube at first, and
yeah, and now we're getting nothing on DLive.
Yeah, so no one comes over and watches us at all, and it all probably has to do with that big change they made. They did that they did that the day that the insurrection happened, because we were covering it that day.
Yeah,
and probably wasn't our best show because we were kind of piecing things together on the spot, but. Yeah, we got that X-ray thing come in, and then like a week later they started demonetizing people. Everyone's demonetized over there, is what it is. But yeah, if you guys do want to donate, that's a way. We could set up other things, whatever. It won't matter.
I can't believe they just took the money from us, though. Wow. All right, whatever.
Waco. You gotta get on it, man. You gotta get on it.
So we were going to have a guest. We don't have a guest, so I guess we're going to talk about Waco. I guess we can talk about Ruby Ridge, and I'm almost positive I'm going to Fed post on this. So, is it the anniversary today? Is today the anniversary of
No, I think
Waco?
it was the 29th.
Oh, okay, so it's been passed. Okay.
Yeah, in the ATF did tweet a tweet about it, as they always do. Because they're, unkind words.
Right. Well, yeah, they do that every year where they put out a tweet like, remember the whatever officers who lost their lives in the great conquering of Waco, or however the fuck they worded it. It's stupid. I don't know. I think it's a honeypot or a reverse honeypot, maybe. because then everyone who comments on that, like "fuck you," gets put on a list or something. I guess that's the only reason why I can imagine they'd even do that. Um, I don't know. Do we want to talk about the story? Or we're going to assume that everybody here knows the story.
We can talk about the story. I actually have the ATF's page pulled up and what they have to say about it, but it started on February 28th. It went on for a month. I actually remember it rather well. I was young, but I do.
I was there at the Waco siege.
No, I'm just yeah. I was I guess I was like 12, so I remember rather well watching it on TV. I think Netflix did a really good job, despite me not having Netflix anymore. But Netflix did a pretty good job. Well, they didn't even do it. It was originally I forget who it was who released that miniseries originally, but it was some paid cable channel, and then Netflix picked it up.
It was like Paramount or something.
Yeah. But yeah, whatever Netflix mini docudramas on there did a decent job. That wasn't too overly kind to the Branch Davidians. I think David Koresh may have been a nutbag, but here's my thing. I'm all about having breakaway societies, but let's not all live in the same house. Let's have our own land and, conjoin and do whatever that we need to do, trade wise, not be like, well, you need to live in my house. And guess what? God told me that your wife needs to be my wife. Because that's a cult leader. That's how Mormonism started, more or less. Joseph Smith. Sorry, Mormons, if you're out there listening, but
it's okay.
Yeah,
one of my college professors was a Mormon. It was kind of weird. But when I think about it, when I think about Waco, for me, Waco doesn't start at Waco. Waco starts at Ruby Ridge, which I know is a stupid way to say that, but Ruby Ridge was absolutely fucked up, and I mean, I guess I'm sure everyone in the chat here knows the story, but basically the feds show up and murder some people. I'm not even sure why. I think the reason was because not that he did alter a firearm, but he agreed to alter a firearm that may or may not be under the legal limit. He made it cut off. I think it was it was cutting off a shotgun too short or something.
He said he could. There are differing accounts. We talked about this with Don a little while back. What I do know is they showed up to serve a warrant or do something with his son.
Yeah.
And they killed his son.
Mm-hmm.
And then they went to his cabin, had a sharpshooter, a sniper, whatever you want to call him, set up, which then killed his wife and I think baby child, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, she was holding a baby.
Yeah.
When I think they did kill the baby too. So the whole thing was botched. And then if you take the Hollywood account, which I'm inclined to do in this situation, Janet Reno felt really like a fucking dumbass, which she should have. And so she's like, I want Waco to be good. Like, if we're gonna go, like, I want to make a spectacle out of it because we need good publicity. And of course, they fucked it up. We're putting this on there. Ruby Ridge. Here we go. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the best way to do it, man. I mean, just makes it easy. So it was the site of an 11-day siege, 92, out in Idaho, literally in the middle of nowhere. This guy lived up on top of a mountain, like completely isolated. Why would you not just leave him alone?
Because he was a racist.
Yeah. It began on August 21st when deputies of the United States Marshal Service initiated action to apprehend and arrest Randy Weaver under a bench warrant after his failure to appear on a firearms charge. Given 3 conflicting dates for his court appearance and suspecting a conspiracy against him, Weaver refused to surrender. I mean, you get 3 different dates. Why would you show up? And members of his immediate family and friends, Kevin Harris, resisted as well. So let's get down here because it'll tell the main story. I mean, there's a lot of stuff here, but yeah, let's go to development. Says Weaver, a former Iowa factory worker and U.S. Army Green Beret. I didn't know that. So the dude knew what he was doing, generally speaking, although he's probably during the Vietnam era or early 90s afterwards. So moved with his wife and 4 children into Idaho during the 80s so they could homeschool their children and escape from what he and his wife Vicky saw as a corrupt world. Not nearly as bad as it is today, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
So they began to have recurring dreams of living on a mountaintop, and he believed the apocalypse was imminent. Well, this is why it relates to Waco to some degree, I guess, right? Living without electricity, he was full on going tank. Tank and Uncle Ted.
Well, it is what it is.
Yeah, so January 1985, the FBI and Secret Service began an investigation of allegations that Weaver had made threats against Reagan. So it went all the way back to 85. Down here it says the ATF first became aware of Weaver in July 86 when he was introduced to a confidential ATF informant at a meeting at the World Aryan Congress. Ooh, that's spicy. The informant portrayed him as a weapons dealer. Weaver had been invited to the meeting by Frank Kumnick, the original target of the ATF investigation. Of course, they decided, screw that guy, I'm sure.
Yeah.
They got something juicier. It was Weaver's first time at his at this Congress. Over the next 3 years, Weaver was an informant, met several times, and the informant, I should say, yada, yada, yada. In June of 1990, Byerly attempted to use the sawed-off shotgun charge as leverage to get Weaver to act as an informant in his investigation to the Aryan nations. Weaver refused to become a snitch, and the ATF filed a gun charges in June 1990. So let's go back a little bit, see if we can find this. Claim that he sold an informant 2 sawed-off shotguns with the overall length of the gun shorter than the limit set by law. Okay. But notice...
it says he did or he was going to? It
says the ATF claims.
Well, the ATF can claim all kinds of bullshit.
Right.
Yeah. But, I mean, let's just say that he did. Let's say that he did the heinous act of sawing off a shotgun to, 16 inches? There's 18 inches legal limit? I forget what it is. Okay, so what? He did that. Let's just say he did. Was it worth all that? And here's the thing. So, okay, guys, chat, this is your free troll. This is what you need to go to Twitter with. Ruby Ridge happened. Waco happened. In response to those two acts of government overreach, Timothy McVeigh bombed the Oklahoma City building. One could say that Timothy McVeigh was the original police brutality protester. So one could invoke the image of Timothy McVeigh at a Black Lives Matter rally protesting the police.
One could.
I mean, I'm not sure it's a good idea, but if someone wants to be extra trolly, if someone wants to do one of these, like, say her name, like
and go after the guy that sponsors the bill that has Breonna Taylor.
Do one of these say her name things, but instead of Breonna Taylor, have it be Vicky Weaver. That
proving my point that leftists don't know anything ever. They're not informed. That's why they're leftist. Anyways, since the ATF concluded it would be too dangerous for agents to arrest Weaver at his property, in January 1991, ATF agents posed as a broken down motorist and arrested Weaver when he and Vicky stopped to assist. Weaver was told of the charges against him and released February 19th, 1991. On January 22nd, the judge in the case notified the attorney. Go on and on and on. Let's see. In February 5th, the trial date was changed from February 19th to the 20th to give participants more travel time following a federal holiday. Okay, whatever. So they did change the dates. They screwed around with the guy. And guys, you should know this. Like, the government's not very good about communicating within itself. They're even worse about doing it with the public. So stuff does change, of course. Let's get down here to when things happen. When Weaver did not appear in court, February 20th, Ryan issued a bench warrant for the failure of appeal to court. Ken Kellner, a reporter of the Valley Times, phoned the U.S. Probation Office and asked whether Weaver did not show up in court. Okay, this is very detailed. The U.S. Marshal Service agreed to put off executing the warrant until March 20th in order to see whether Weaver would show up in court on that day. If he didn't show up on the 20th, the DOJ claimed that all indications are that the warrant would have been dropped, but instead the U.S. Attorney's Office called a grand jury on March 14th. So this was the Marshal Service's involvement. Let me get to some dates, because when did exactly they do all this? Marshal Service office made a series of attempts to have Weaver surrender peacefully, but Weaver refused to leave his cabin. But there was what was the incident that happened before that? Is that up here? Because that's what I was looking for. I thought they killed, like, he had an older son or a friend of his. They drew down on. There was some sort of firefight, and he went back up to his cabin.
Yeah, they killed the dog. Was one of the things they did.
Killed the dog.
Yeah. And it's funny here. It says Weaver was known to have an intense distrust of the government. Well, you kind of proved him right. You know?
Yeah, when you go in and murder like his family and stuff. Anyways, so we can go on about it, but we have enough information there. You guys could Google file yourself. So
anyway, Waco, I mean, not Waco, but Ruby Ridge happens. You know, and the funny thing about Ruby Ridge is I've seen a lot of like straight up hammer and sickle anti-fascist Twitter guys be like, I'm actually okay with what happened at Ruby Ridge because the guy was a racist. So that's all you need to know about these people. You know, they're completely okay with the feds killing someone who's deemed a racist, who, by the way, so let's just follow that logic here for a second. The guy's a racist. Whatever. If you're so racist that you move out into bumfuck Idaho by yourself, isn't that what every racist, like anti-fascist, anti-racist person would want? Hey, you should remove yourself from society. Okay, bro, I'm gonna go up here in the hills, and then you go kill him. Like, what the fuck? That was it just goes to show that these guys, these leftists, will side with anyone over their enemies, regardless. You know, they have no real principles in terms of, you know, oh, we're going to liberate the working class. This guy was working class, you know, and they were okay with him getting murdered by the feds. So fuck them.
yeah, and Joshua Ham was saying that the saw off legal limit was by millimeters, and it wasn't necessarily on purpose, and that the ATF asked him to do it. So that in itself is entrapment.
Yeah.
What I do know about the entire case is that after all of the bloodshed and the tragedy, he was acquitted on all charges. That's very rare. You're very unlikely to get that. But the federal government felt quite guilty. And part of the reason for the whole Waco trial was they were trying to basically justify their actions and get proof that they need to be able to be militant, and that they didn't need the due process of law and all that stuff, which is why we eventually got the Patriot Act. I mean, let's recall that was only a few years later, right? In 2001. That stuff that had been sitting around for years, waiting to happen.
Yeah, so I guess we can move on to Waco. So if anyone doesn't know this story, David Koresh creates a compound. I think it's more or less the Branch Davidians, if I'm not mistaken, or more or less an offshoot of Seventh-day Adventist, which, you know, is whatever. I don't belong to any of that shit. Opens up, you know, this compound in Waco, you know, and some shit goes down. Apparently they say he has illegal guns, but they never. So he was actually accused for, if I remember, for having the parts to make illegal firearms, but the parts that he had could also make legal firearms, because it was like AR-15 kits. So like you can use them on M16s, I believe, but just having that doesn't mean that you have, illegal firearms. They had multiple times to arrest the guy if they wanted to when he left his house every day to go jogging. They chose not to because they wanted to have the spectacle on TV where they go in and rescue all these, kids they're saying is getting abused or whatever. Instead, they murder a bunch of kids and set the place on fire. I mean, there's just no excuse for this. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, even if Koresh was a crazy cult leader, it doesn't justify any of it.
He absolutely was. Like, the dude was crazy as shit. Let's not.
It doesn't justify the government coming in and doing all these things.
But
Joshua Ham mentioned in the comments, that they'll come for you, and there is no peaceful separation. I don't agree. Don and I have talked about this. It's whatever. You can have a difference of opinion. I think the Amish have had peaceful separation quite well. There is peaceful separation, depends on how much involved you want to be within their system, and depends on what you do. And if they think you're a threat, they might come after you. But we got two examples, and we don't see it a lot. Now, there were other cases. There was what was the ranch thing going on the other year? Why can't I think of that?
Oh shit, that guy. You talking about the dude that was held up in that federal park?
Yeah.
Oh my god, I can't remember. But yeah, that was similar. He was held up and they killed him.
The Bundy standoffs, what I'm thinking of. Supporters of a cattle ranch that was going on for 20 some odd years. This again, though, isn't necessarily about wrongthink. This is about standing up to the government. And when you start standing up to agencies and embarrassing them, they come after you. And I trust me, I can tell you that is very much the idea of contempt of cop. So there's this idea out there in law enforcement that if you are basically disrespectful to police, they will make you have a bad time.
Yeah, and this is what Joshua Ham was talking about in the chat earlier about how he used to be more back the blue. This is why shit like this is why I have trouble with the whole back the blue movement. Like, I don't think cops are inherently bad people, but I realize that I know a lot of law enforcement people, and I work in a law enforcement adjacent field. Most of your police officers are not. It's not a matter of being good or bad. They're just there to get a paycheck, like any other job. It pays better than a sheet metal factory. So, it is what it is. If you want to think it's some super noble career, that's on you. I don't necessarily agree. But, these guys will pull the trigger on somebody if they're told to a lot of times. And that's something that a lot of people on the right need to consider, especially if you're thinking about doing some sort of like separation or having their own like compound. If someone does come for you, it's going to be the police. So just keep that in mind, is all I'm saying.
Well, and the other thing is as far as a lot of like very rural areas, you got to look at who your sheriff is, and that is a big deal too. At the time for Waco, they knew the sheriff, they were friendly with, but again, the ATF way overstepped their bounds. They did some crazy stuff. If there wasn't news there, we probably wouldn't know as much about it as we did. They went on to torture the people for a month, right? They played crazy music all night long. They cut off their power. They did all kinds of ridiculous things. And then, of course, as well, they got the power of the media behind them, the corporate media. And back then, it was much better. Not that it was that long ago, but it still was much better than it is today. And it's more of the... I think what you have to understand is it's more of the us versus them mentality. And we were coming out of the Reagan years, which was a little bit less statism. And then we went into the Bush years, which was a return to statism. And then the Clinton years. And that was just, full on out. And yeah, I mean, we're talking about something that happened in the early 90s. The federal government is far, far more pernicious now and powerful than it was 30 years ago, guys.
Well, and when you think about it, the whole Waco thing really was just Janet Reno trying not to look bad because she fucked up. Well, because Ruby Ridge happened under Janet Reno. Waco happened under Janet Reno, and I'm pretty sure that most of what happened with Ted Kaczynski and the Unabomber was under Janet Reno. So, I'm not gonna blame Janet Reno for Ted Kaczynski getting away. Like, he was just smarter than those guys. That is what it is. But she wanted to look good, and she's like, so when they rolled up into Waco, they said, hey, we need photos of you guys carrying out abused children, from this compound to show that we're the good guys in the situation. And they absolutely bungled it all up. I was Fed posting. It's okay. Yeah. We have Fed post alert banners. So yeah, I don't really care if I'm probably going to Fed post a lot here.
And Josh, to your last comment there about the enforceable laws, the unconstitutional laws, illegitimate laws that politicians write, you're absolutely right. This is why I never went and was a patrol deputy, and didn't want to arrest people for stuff that I didn't agree with. Later on in life, I got out of that field completely for other personal, mostly religious reasons. But, we do the same thing with war. We go fight and bomb people overseas that have nothing to do with our safety or security. It has all to do with the NGOs, New World Order, UN, World Economic Forum, name a group that has initials that is some sort of secret globalist society, and they're probably a part of it because these people are like in all these different things. And we're not acting out as moral folks because we're not thinking. We've somehow transitioned over to this automaton mindset where it's just like, just go do what you're told, go do your thing. And don't get me wrong, this is a problem that's always existed with humanity. It's always been a deal. I just believe that when people had to be a little bit more self-reliant, they were a lot more skeptical. And now with technology and wealth, the skepticism isn't there, and again, that's not completely true because a lot of people thought, they're gods and, they're kings and their rulers were gods or godlike or whatever else, despite how evil they were. But I don't know. What do you have to say, Tank?
R. Corley just had a comment. So basically, this is why the right is very paranoid of these events. Makes a little more sense to me, especially with the current events of last summer and whatnot. Yes. However, one of the problems I have with the right, especially like the mainstream right, is that they don't remember these events well enough. Like, you'll get guys like, oh, I don't trust the government. But it wasn't just a matter of the government in these situations. It was government police forces, the ATF, the FBI, this sort of thing. And a lot of guys in your local police forces would do the same. They would absolutely do the same thing. Now, maybe a lot of them wouldn't. I'm not here to like talk shit about all police force, but there is this kind of law enforcement worship that I see on the right that really worries me, because if one breath you're saying, hey, we need to have a breakaway society. We need to teach our kids this and that and whatever. You may live in a place where your local sheriff is going to be with you and, say like, hey, leave those guys alone. You might get that lucky. It's a lot more likely you're not going to get that lucky. You're going to have some breakaway society. You're trying to grow corn and have nice bird feeders and homeschool all your kids. And the first people to roll up on your shit is going to be local authorities. So it's something to consider. And it's something I think a lot of people on the right don't consider. You need to be skeptical of all these guys. And this steps on a lot of people's toes. They're like, well, I got friends that work, they're good, God-fearing police officers. And maybe they are. I've got friends that work in law enforcement. They're all good people. And I will absolutely call them my friends. But if it came down between them feeding their kids and me, they're going to choose feeding their kids, and I don't blame them for that. So it's just something to think about.
Yeah, and most people just hedge their bets, folks.
Yeah.
You have to understand this. Like, to some degree, you have to have sympathy. Maybe you could say, oh, no, they're just evil. Like, the worst thing I think you can do is just always demonize who may be your enemy. Like, you should have sympathy for your enemy because they're not really living, right? They're not really proactively taking charge of their life most of the time. They are just a series of processes in which they have amalgamated over life. A lot of times they are, you know, the the sum of parts that made them, which is the system, and the system is terrible. Obviously, a lot of our parents neglected taking charge of their lives and just obeyed the system. And that has happened for generations, and we are where we are at. That's not to say that these folks don't have responsibility either. I'm just saying that you can have sympathy for them when you go to approach them or talk to them, and that they are sort of trapped, and start thinking about it that way instead of being aggressive with them right away and being very hard or harsh with them. I know, like, coming from me, like, I'm not that harsh actually or hard when I talk to people one on one, but I will talk trash. But I'm doing it in a fun, kind of jovial way, generally speaking. But a lot of people, they're just trapped in the mind virus. They're trapped where they're at. They don't know anything better. So it's important that we understand that people have basic needs and they hedge their bets. And part of hedging their bets is, oh, well, this is a good job. And well, I think I'm doing a good thing. And I'm convincing myself post hoc I did all right. And yada, yada, yada. And they're not digging any deeper. And this is the majority of folks you're ever going to come across in your life. It's most everyone. Get a job, raise a family, go to school, that kind of stuff, retire, take care of my grandkids. And for lots of people, that doesn't work out at all. So no, most people aren't me. Who's like, for personal religious reasons, I'm going to quit my job that involves doing violence regularly to people because I don't want to have to do violence to people regularly that violates my religious convictions. And therefore, I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to go back to school and take a risk, which I did. And it's been a risk, man. It's been a big gamble the last 3 or 4 years of my life. Barely hung on. I was working at FedEx a little bit part-time as I was going to school, and I jacked up my knees. I couldn't walk for months. So, I've had to reshape my life, and then I'm start trying to finish school. The coof happens. How was I supposed to predict that? I understand why people hedge their bets. For me, it was more important to do what I believe I should be doing and pursuing a path towards excellence than hedging my bets. But for most people, that's just not the case. That's why people fall in love with ideas like socialism.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, there's this mantra about the police on the right where it's like, oh, people go into law enforcement because they want to make a difference in the world. Maybe some of them do. I don't know. But really, most people go to law enforcement because it pays more than a sheet metal factory, and you get to carry a gun, and you have little to no oversight in a lot of cases, for better or for worse, however you want to lay that out. So, it's kind of like what I think me and Don were talking about this. He has a lot of criticism for Moldbug and the clear pill, and you're just going to like tap out society, which I agree with him. It's a pretty stupid idea. If you're going to make a separate society, right, like right now, if you're going to say, I'm going to get out of this corrupt, United States society, you're better off just learning Spanish and moving to Trinidad and becoming a coffee farmer than trying to do it here. That's going to be a lot harder to do, for sure, but you're not dealing with the feds breathing on your neck. In fact, the Trinidad military is probably a lot more likely to leave you alone than the ATF.
Yeah, no doubt. Sorry, I'm changing our stream title and stuff, because Kit didn't show.
Yeah, our Corley. That's another thing that really keeps me from being back to what he's saying. That I know it's very slippery, but I believe we should be able to shoot back at law enforcement. Just an idea. So there's been multiple cases of no-knock raids on the wrong house, right? So imagine you're in bed asleep, and you have firearms to protect your house from home invasions, like a lot of people do, and someone busts through your door with guns. I mean, what are you going to do? You're probably going to shoot them because that's the whole reason why you bought a gun to begin with, for this exact reason. Well, you shoot them, or they see you with a gun and they open fire on you and kill you. This has happened. People have been killed in no-knock raids for having a firearm in their house when the police came in. It's a thing. I can't. To me, there's no excuse for that. And if regardless of who busts through your door, especially if they don't announce themselves, and it's a no-knock raid like a lot of these situations, yeah, you absolutely have the right to shoot back. You at that point, it doesn't matter that someone's made a mistake and someone's in the wrong and someone got the paperwork wrong. If you think that your family and your life is in danger, that's exactly what you bought a firearm for. So
the battle is this, which Randy Weaver got justice to some degree. I mean, as much as you can get justice in such a horrendous situation, he was compensated. He was acquitted. In today's America, though, post 9/11, I hate to sound like a politician, the reality is this: they don't care. The militarization of the police force has been going on for quite a long time now, and they don't care about coming in and getting the wrong home or doing whatever. Now, there are some police agencies. The one I worked for 13 years was very concerned about litigation. Others are not. The issue with that is you either live by litigation or you don't care. And it comes back to if you have good leadership or not. And when it comes to sheriff's departments, they're elected. So
yeah,
people tend to just keep voting in incumbents. When it comes to municipal police, they're appointed. So if your governor is an idiot like Cuomo, or mayor is what I'm thinking, like De Blasio, you're probably going to have a idiot municipal police force because they control it. So always goes back to the political. When it comes to the feds are unaccountable, guys. You know that. Like, you're not children. I'm not talking to anyone who doesn't have any sense out there. Maybe some random person will come along who doesn't have any sense, but the feds aren't accountable, which is why you can't count on them either for anything, because they don't care and they know that no one's going to do anything about it. And someone might get thrown under the bus, sure, but they're going to keep on moving. What happened in what is it? Abu Ghraib back during the Iraq War. There were a couple lowly soldiers who were doing some crazy stuff, orders that they got from higher ups, humiliating Iraqi prisoners of war, and they got in trouble. You think that their lieutenants and their captains and whoever else up the chain got in trouble? No. And the reason why is because it's easier to chuck the little guy under the bus than it is someone who has had a established career. And I've seen that time and time and time again. Take a new guy, he might be perfect in every way, shape, or form, but he makes one mistake, as we all do. And you go, well, sorry, Johnny, you're suspended and without pay, and we don't care about your family, and blah, 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 blah. We're just going to leave you out there. We need to hurt you because you need to know that what you did was wrong. And for a guy like that, who's a hard worker, who's a perfect employee generally, you don't need to do all that, but that's what they do. Um, and discipline isn't personal anymore in these fields. It has nothing to do with what you did in the moment or on a low leadership level. We've gone and we've gravitated toward this, send everything up the chain, send it up the chain, send it up the chain. And Tank, maybe you can talk to this without getting too detailed into what you do. But it might be different with what you do, but you see this a lot where good leadership should be on the lowest level. Like if I was in the military, and let's say I was a team leader out of 4 men, me and 3 other guys underneath me. I am not going to talk to my squad leader about something that someone on my team did that's minuscule or stupid. Now, if something happened that my squad leader observed, he might take care of it. Most likely, he's going to come to me. But you know what he's not going to do? He's not going to go tell my platoon sergeant about it either. He's going to let me take care of it. Then if I don't, then he'll get in my butt and that other Marine's butt. And that's how it works. You protect the people down low unless they're not worth protecting. And you figure that out by giving them chances, letting them make mistakes, as long as they're not grave mistakes. And our federal government doesn't care about that, guys. They will, if they feel like you are a threat or there's some sort of win or some sort of way that they can convince the public that you are the boogeyman, they're going to come after you. It's just the way it works. I don't know.
Yeah. And the thing about these government agencies, any government agency really, is that usually the people making the decisions are not the ones whose ass is going to be sling if it fucks up. Janet Reno did not suffer any consequences for telling those dudes to raid Waco. Political, maybe you could argue that she didn't get real or whatever the fuck she was. But really, at the end of the day, she wasn't the one that got firebombed. It was the kids. It was the Branch Davidians. And that's the issue, right? And again, I don't like to tell people to read because it's boring, but there's a book that's pretty interesting called Rise of the Warrior Cop. And it's all about the militarization of the police and the development of no-knock raids and a lot of things that we're seeing the consequences of now. And it's interesting if you want to look into it. If not, whatever. You're going to hear about it here in the next 3 minutes when I talk about it. But so at some point in the past, someone felt the need that we should militarize the police. And you can argue that is necessary or not, depending on the situation. I don't know. I'm a dumbass. But we can see where it's had consequences. People have been killed in no-knock raids. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but there's a guy by the name of Duncan Lemp that got killed in a no-knock raid around the same time I think George Floyd and Breonna Taylor got killed. It was like the same thing. So a lot of these people saying, oh, the police, they're just racist. They want to kill black people. Well, this was a white dude and they just fucking shot him. Black Lives Matter does not give a fuck about this guy. Does not give a shit. The Boogaloo, the whole Boogaloo movement, they were like, hey, Breonna Taylor's the issue, George Floyd's the issue. I think they mentioned George Floyd and this Duncan Lemp guy. These are all things that we need to tackle. And Black Lives Matter didn't want to hear it. They were like, the cops are just racist. It's not that the cops are racist. It's got the entire situation. Yeah, because I know it's not. I was just pointing it out. The whole it's that a lot of these police forces just run really shitty, and people pay with their life when some dumbass bureaucrat gets the address wrong and sends the cops to bust down the wrong door. Maybe that bureaucrat got fired. I don't know, but somebody died. Someone is dead. Someone's missing a father, a son, a brother, a sister,
Right.
Whatever, over that shit.
Yeah. Our Coralie said in the chat that, well, yeah, they'll come for you. How are you supposed to secede peacefully? I'm not trying to secede, brother. I'm saying the states should, if they unite. Yeah, I get that there'll be war. I make no pretenses about that, man. I understand the consequences of that. What I'm saying is we need that. We need to try that. We need to try a peaceful divorce. And that will come down to who has the military power, who's in charge of the government that we're seceding from. Are they going to go after them? Are they going to be vindictive like Lincoln was back in the day and be like, no, I'm trying to keep the Union? And Lincoln largely got heated because they fired upon the U.S. naval ships at warning shots, but they fired upon them saying, stay away. And that was a big thing. That was a big catalyst for the first American Civil War. I'm talking about communities. I'm talking about small, local. I'm talking Dunbar's number, 150 people. We can probably scale that up a little bit, but it's going to be little little communities within a greater community, if you would. And the greater community wouldn't necessarily have any say over it. It'd be a affiliation, a confederacy, if you would.
Well, whoa now, whoa, now,
A
pump the brakes.
loose confederacy. No, but I mean, that's what I'm talking about. And I'm not talking about building my own government, dude. Like, screw that. I'm a minarchist. I'm basically an anarchist, except for I believe that we do need hierarchy in government. So I can't be an anarchist. And I played with this idea for 3 years in my late 20s, early 30s, whatever. Played with it from about the time I was about 29 until I was about 32 or so. And realized that it's just not possible. It goes against human nature. However, what I am saying is that we can go live off in the middle of nowhere where we're kind of isolated. The government's not going to really do much about us if we're not a threat to them. They've never come after the Amish. There's all kinds of little breakaway communities you don't even know about. They don't go after most militias. And trust me, there are militias out there that are pretty extreme. They went after Randy Weaver because they were going after the Aryan Brotherhood or white supremacists because that was a perceived threat because we have a leftist liberal government that's insane. That wasn't a real threat in the early 90s. It was a bigger threat than it is today, but it was dying off just like it's dying off. It like far more so died off today. So no, I'm not asking for the state of West Virginia to secede. I'm saying that we just need to build our own societies within these whatever governments that exist, and I'll pay my taxes to West Virginia or whatever I have to pay my taxes to. That's going to happen regardless. But the idea that a bunch of troops are going to come, and a lot of people are talking about basically having breakaway societies. So the idea that a bunch of troops are going to come and destroy everybody, I'm hard pressed to believe that. And I know Don's argument against that, which he discussed with me, was, well, the Holodomor, okay. Did those folks have guns? Were they well set up? Were they not just very poor folk? We have to look at the time in which we live in compared to the past when these things happen. We have to look at the difference in technology. We have to look at the difference of wills and willpower. And look, guys, regardless of how black-pilled you might be and how many of your neighbors voted for Biden and how screwed you think the election was and whatever else, you still have like 74 million Americans that voted for Donald Trump. Like half of the country voted for Donald Trump. People are waking up every day to the reality that the federal government doesn't care about them, that it's run by globalist NGOs, that it's corporatism. They're waking up. And we can either fearmonger and worry about that, or we can start planning. And it's either be completely black-pilled and say, well, we can't secede, we can't do nothing, we can fight. Okay, well, see how long that will last you, because half you guys have no idea what it is to be on a battlefield. Half you guys have no idea the amount of power that the federal government has. They'll send out a little drone that some dude is sitting in a box somewhere on the other side of the country, out in out in Idaho or something like that. I'm in West Virginia, wherever you guys are at. They'll send some drone out and they'll be like, oh, yep, take out that camp, just like we do in Syria, Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan, name a country, we do that too. And at the same time, have we ever taken the Taliban? Why are we still in Iraq?
Yeah, and that's the thing I think a lot of people don't realize. A lot of people talk about breakaway societies, and we're going to secede or whatever. If you look through history, anytime something has gotten bad in a general region, like bad enough to that where it's got rough, people don't make breakaway societies. They get the fuck out of the country altogether. And I don't necessarily think it's outside the realm of possibilities that a if it was to get so bad in the next 5 or 10 years, that people are going to start looking at more third world ish, dare I say, shithole country places. It's like, hey, they probably going to be a lot better off than where I'm at now. Because that's the case. Like, there's a reason why Cubans came to Florida, and there may be very well a reason why Floridans will go to, I don't know, Iceland, I don't know, wherever. That, to me, that's a lot more likely. I think a lot of Americans get this idea that we live in the greatest country on earth, yada 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 bullshit, and that the
You
ground that they're
do
walking on,
philosophically and theoretically, just not in
yeah,
practice.
yeah, and
You
and,
know?
and that the ground, the dirt that they're walking on is going to be the dirt that their kids walk on, and that's not necessarily the case. We're talking about having kids soon, me and my wife, and there's no way I'm telling my kid to go to school. Like, do not even go to school. Don't even go to college in the United States. Like, take your bitch ass to Indonesia, and you'll get a college education for 1/8 of the price, and you'll be bilingual by the time you leave. Fuck all that. There's going to come to a point where people's going to say the United States doesn't have what I need to function, and you're going to have to look elsewhere.
Yeah. Well, and there are a couple things. Sorry, I was answering the chat there. The moving to other countries solution is for sure possible. As Don said or says often, but when do we fight? When do we stand?
Mm-hmm.
I remember watching him have academic agent on, and it was like, yeah, we're constantly retreating. One time he had Sargon on. It was the same similar argument. But again, it's about who owns the institutions. What you have to understand, guys, is that the world is evil. I'll make this simple conclusion right now. You're either in the kingdom of God or you are in the kingdom of Satan, right? There's the idea, it's a biblical idea of two kingdoms. And we talked about this last night on the weekly narrative. I was over there with Jeremy and Delaney. Was audio only for my end, but we did talk about this a little bit. And that the left is self-destructive, they're delusional, they're self-devouring, they will devour everything in their path. They, even though they're not directly, some of them are Satanists, but even though they're not directly Satanists, they're following Satan. Their path is destruction, death. Look at everything that they do. Like, don't have a family, abort your child, right? Destroy everything that you come from, your ancestrage, your traditions, destroy the culture. Like, be a heathen, have sex with anyone you want, anytime, whatever. Do all the drugs you want. Be a degenerate. Don't even work. Just collect money. The government should do it for you. Don't do anything of value and be a complete slave. Well, I'll tell you what, Christ bonded us out of slavery through his death, the slavery to Satan, death itself, and sin. And so all those people are still in the kingdom of Satan. They're still in the kingdom of this world, and they're thinking. This world wins, guys. Not in the end, but it wins. Right? Biblically speaking, God comes and he takes everything over afterwards, and your reward is in the next life. So, just a quick little theological diatribe there, but I'm not saying that you should not try to preserve what you have or survive or any of those things either. But what I'm saying is that there is a certain inevitability, and it has to go back to what is the human soul? How do human beings process reality? And what is the nature of mankind and that we have 4,000 years of recorded history of? And it's always the same crap: power, corruption, evil, governments coming in, people not caring about the little guy, the consolidation of wealth, all of those things. My solution isn't Marxist solutions, though. Marxist solutions are, oh, give the same people all the power, wealth, and whatever. And all of a sudden we'll live in a utopia and everyone will be equal. No, that's just absurdity. It's just moronic to even think such a thing. But yeah, I don't know, man. Let me read some chat here. You got anything on that, Tank?
Oh, no, that's good.
Let's see. We're talking about Iran a little bit in here. Yeah, the deal with Iran, guys, by the way, is pretty much as simple as this. The Russians do business with Iran. There's oil there. There's a lot of those nations around Russia. We don't want Russia to be in, we do not wish Russia to be in power. We don't want to allow them to have that much influence because the influence is in the Western world. Now, China's okay because they manufacture everything and we want to have a great relationship with them and we kind of been bringing them up. So that's where we're going. But I just don't believe in this perceived sort of illusion that we're fighting the Iranians directly or that we're against China in any way, especially with Beijing Biden in. I think Trump was against China and the takeover of China. But as business goes, for the most part, since Nixon opened up China, the U.S. has been all about making China really, really rich and really, really powerful. So, yeah, the Iranian deal is more about control of the region, making sure that the oil only goes to who we want it to go to, much like the Syrian issue. Same thing, man. Same issue. And again, think about the motivations. I talked about this the other day on All Minus One. Think about the motivations of the folks doing this when we bombed Syria, right? They say that the climate change is the biggest thing on earth and it's going to kill everybody because it's an emotional plea that gets people sucked in that don't do any real thinking. And as that happens, they need to control all of the oil in the Middle East. And the people in the Middle East don't necessarily believe in the climate change thing, right? So consider that. Consider that Iran, as far as I know, has its own centralized bank, not part of the global centralized bank system. Right? You could say each nation, like there's the Bank of London, right? There's the Federal Reserve Bank here in the U.S. Most nations have their own centralized bank, but a lot of them have ties with each other. Pretty sure the Iranian one, much like in Libya, has no ties.
You need to cool it with the anti-Semitism.
Yeah, right. I said nothing about anyone who might have a small hat, young gentleman. What are you insinuating?
Yarcola says, "Yeah, I'm on board with fighting with the ground you're standing on." Yeah, you know, I'm not gonna fault anybody for that. You know, we people in the United States have it, especially in southern United States, have it bred into our blood about standing up against the government and fighting for the ground we walk on. God bless you. I wish the best for you. But I think that eventually, like it has been in most places when shit went to shit in the rest of the world, that, you know, the more people start looking at the global sphere and thinking, well, you know, if I could sell my house and move to Honduras and not have to deal with half the shit, you know, no one's going to be trying to like pump my kid full of puberty blockers down there. It's going to start looking pretty tantalizing. Now, I'm not setting up to make a prediction that, you know, your average, you know, person who lives in Stone Mountain, Georgia is going to move to Indonesia or anything, but historically, that's kind of what's happened for a lot of people. You know, the Russians were like, fuck this, and came to America. You know, Polish people, fuck this, came to America. You know, we've had a lot of, you know, the great American melting pot or whatever, where, you know, especially in the, you know, 19th to 20th century, we had a lot of influx of people because their countries went to shit. I don't think the United States is immune to those same things. And I don't think that resolution is outside the possibility for a lot of people who live in the United States today.
Yeah. There are a couple things there. Joshua Ham just put almost all the nation banks are actually private, not governmental institutions. Right. But that's what I was saying. They have these ties with each other. We don't know who all the shareholders, stakeholders are in a lot of these banks. It's all very, very private, secretive. Um, yeah, the lie of the American melting pot is a lie.
Yeah, I don't know. All I'm saying is a lot of motherfuckers came here at one point. I don't.
No, well,
Yeah.
Kizza gave me the correct verbiage on this, which is one thing, which is why it's nice to have a fine British English chap and as a friend, is that he said that we're a pluralistic society, which is true. We're not a multicultural society, and that needs to be understood. And pluralistic societies have always existed. The difference is that you have your cultures living together, but sort of separately, as people do, because they have in-group preference, right? Where I think the real idea of the multicultural society is everyone accepts this culture, they bring it in, they're a little bit a part of this one and that one and this one, and just doesn't really work. And that's part of that communist utopia. And in the end, the only culture that really exists is the one that the overlords create and tell you you can be a part of, like any dystopian novel. You know, so I don't know, guys. What else do we have? Anyone who actually dealt with the melting pot knows, destroys everything. I don't know much about the bank topic, but yes, thank Thomas Sowell for the term cultural pluralism. Yeah, I actually have Thomas Sowell's Race and Culture, and it's a pretty good book on the idea that the culture, which is why I like to go back to the idea of ethnicity too versus race. It's too nebulous. It's too big. It's you're encompassing things that just don't exist, and the conception, modern conception of race is a leftist conception. Ethnicities always exist. It comes from the Greek word ethnos, of nation or people, whatever. And Sowell makes the point that certain cultures are harder workers than others. They tend to do better than others. And I would say part of that is nature and part of that is nurture. Like, there's a genetic component to it. I probably talked about it before with the Russian silver fox experiment, where they basically bred characteristics of passivity, which also bred neonatal characteristics into these animals. Well, we've sort of done the same thing with humanity. We've propped up weak men, and not in all cases, but I'm just saying, we've propped up weak men. We've, with technology, allowed some people to survive that probably wouldn't have otherwise, and that has helped degenerate the society. I'm no eugenicist, by the way, folks. Obviously, I want people to live freely and date or marry or have children with whoever you would like. What I'm saying, though, is that our culture has, in the past, allowed the weaker men to sort of die off or not marry. And as we've gotten more prosperous, we've had generationally more men who are willing to come in line, and you see it all the time, like how feminized so many men are. I hear it all the time in men's voices. It's really strange to me when I hear a very effeminate man today, because when I was growing up in the 90s, as a teen, and in the early 2000s, as I was in my early 20s, we had a term called metrosexual, which was still a kind of a masculine man that was groomed, right?
That's me. I'm that guy.
Right. That dressed well, that did this and that, right? But now what do we see? We just see 1,001 soy boys.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's this generational degradation of masculinity, and part and parcel, that's obviously engineered and also led by the propagandist in the federal government, media, academia, Hollywood, etc., etc. With all that, guys, Take, you got anything else?
No, I'm good.
Well, folks, I am sorry that Kit could not make it. I don't know the deal. Have not seen any notifications from him. Trust me, I will figure it out and see if we can have him back on. Next week, though, we do have Adam Kolkesh. That is, I believe, on the 10th. And the week after that, we should have Elliot Holson. That is the 17th, St. Patty's Day. We will be here because I'm not a degenerate and not going to be out drinking on St. Patty's Day. In any case, Tank might be, though, so it's hard.
Yeah, absolutely.
He'll show up regardless.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then we'll have our friends on the 24th, Jeremy and Delaney of the Weekly Narrative. So again, I'll figure out what happened with Kit. Hopefully I can get you guys an update. Things happen, such as life. We have to improvise, overcome, and adapt. Tank, you don't have anything to plug, right?
Mm-mm.
OnlyFans joke is dead.
It's dead. I'm done with it.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for the likes. Please share with folks that you think might be like-minded. We will be back next Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern. This has been the Ends Justify the Memes. And remember, those ends always justify those memes. Play the outro, Tank.
I'm talking about all the way to the top, yeah. Unjustifiably in a position that I'd rather not be in, but the cream will rise to the top, oh yeah. Macho Madness, yeah, it's got more to offer than President Jack Tunney thinks that I got, yeah. And I'm gonna tell you something right now. Cards stacked against the Macho Man Randy Savage in WrestleMania 3. Yeah, let me say it, yeah. Let me say it out loud. And let me point to the president of the World Wrestling Federation.